guess thanks for sitting down with us, and there's a lot going on. Project-wise in the city, do you want to start out talking about the parks and what's happening with our parks?
Sure. So obviously over the last few years, we've made tremendous progress with our parks. It was a priority coming in when we did, the survey with the residents, and we asked them what was important to them. Public safety and parks and recreation were hand in hand. So we've seen over the last few years an upgrade in all of our city parks across the board, and continuing with this spring and summer. In Shaw Park, we have the pump track and bike park that we recently just had the final meeting, public meeting. That's going to design now. We've agreed on a final design, and so they're working on that as we speak, and then that's going to go to hopefully design, engineering, construction next spring, probably, likely. The splash pad out there, of course, we did that. New basketball courts, new tennis courts in Shaw. Brandon Park, as we know, got the new baseball field, but like Cumming College, the new softball and Little League fields there. The band shell, which was upgraded, and a lot of new bathrooms, new ventilation, brick, all fixed up at the band shell. Ways Garden saw improvements, and I give our Ways Garden Commission a lot of credit as well. They do a great job in Ways Garden, and that's all new fencing, new concrete work. That looks great. Ways Garden. Memorial Park, we have the fitness pad. We have new stuff coming to Elm Park, tennis courts, pickleball courts, new ADA bathrooms. And a few years ago we did the basketball courts and pickleball courts in Memorial Park. And then Newberry Park is seeing a lot of upgrades as well. New soccer field, walking path, pickleball courts, new one-person bathroom, and Newberry as well. So across the board, our parks are seeing tremendous growth and upgrades and really becoming vibrant again, which is what we want. When we came in, a lot of our parks were desolate and just run down, broken equipment. And so we've improved equipment, we've brought new amenities in, our pool saw upgrades, Lowe's Park also, Lowe's saw upgrades the last few years as well. And we have new cameras in our parks too. And so all of these upgrades, we feel it's a public safety, it's also neighborhood improvement. You see houses and property values increase when the parks are nice and new and going well. But it's also quality of life. So when families move here, and the ones that live here, a lot of times they ask about what are the parks, how are the parks, what do they look like, what is there to do? And so for us to be able to bring the parks back to life, add new stuff, and see people across the board utilizing, it's really, really exciting, and that was our goal from the very beginning. So to be able to do that, we're excited.
Is there anything you want to add about the timelines of these projects, Bill?
Yeah, we'll talk a little more about timelines. So Elm Park, construction is going to be starting really soon. We've been getting shop drawings in from, that's going to be a big bathroom complex there. Pavilion upgrades there, ADA parking. All these projects have ADA upgrades for parking, accessible.
And the tennis courts and pickleball courts, what's the timeline on
That'll be done first, actually. They'll mill that off here. It's all going to be happening July, August. You're going to see stuff get pretty busy in these parks. We're converting, there's 6 tennis courts there. We're converting, removing 3 of them, and there'll be 6 pickleball courts.
And still tennis.
And still tennis. They'll still have tennis, and then they'll have pickleball courts as well. And then over at Newberry, that's all we actually have a pre-construction meeting this week. That's going to be kicking off. As the mayor said, there'll be a single-use bathroom there. More pickleball courts are going in there, 2 courts. A new parking lot, ADA accessible, and a walking trail around the perimeter, paved. And then a U10 soccer field as well in the open space there. So that'll all be used.
Which we're trying to bring some of the soccer back into the city. Right now, a lot of the fields are outside of the city, and it's quite a distance for some people, and it's a barrier for some that don't have transportation. And so we've actually been working with ASO on getting some of the U10 games once the field is ready in Newberry. So it's obviously easier to access, it's walkable, and hopefully will encourage more kids to be able to take advantage of the ASO program if transportation is a barrier.
As he mentioned, the pump track is in final design. We're under a stormwater design, stormwater review. It's getting a little bit late. It's a pretty big project. There's going to be a paved circuit, and it'll be an off-road circuit. So 2 separate tracks. It's going to be a really large complex, pretty big track.
Right, it's going to be very nice.
Yeah. You'll see that built next year, next spring.
And we think that's going to go hand in hand. Council allocated alongside community development, and Bill been working on this, and our public works, some bike lanes in the city. So as we're talking about the bike park, the pump track, the skills park, we feel like increasing public safety and bike safety, pedestrian safety across the board just aligns with that project very nicely, as kids and adults will likely be riding their bikes out, increase bike activity out to Shaw Park. Having bike lanes, even if it's some pilot bike lanes initially to see how it works, but getting folks safely out to Shaw Park and then eventually all throughout the city as they're walking and riding their bikes. And part of that also, we have a safety action plan, and I think Valerie and Bill can talk about that as well. Safe Streets and Roads for All grant that we got from the feds. That is a safety action plan for the whole city, so we're looking at intersections, pedestrian, bicycle, all of the safety aspects throughout the whole city, come up with a plan, and then of course start to implement the recommendations in that to make our city much more safer as folks are, whether it's a car, bike, walking throughout the city. So we're excited to have the safety action plan and the grant from the federal government as well.
Do you have a proposed route for the bike lanes, or is it too early to?
I think right now we're looking, go ahead, you want to talk about it, Valerie, or you want, Bill? Go ahead.
It's going to be a loop around Shaw Park and then down through Brandon Park, kind of that loop along, was it Lincoln Street, that neighborhood, and just kind of that area, loop around there to begin with. It'll be shared use. It'll still be a vehicle, also a bike. It's not going to be a separate bike lane. We don't have enough space for that, but
Shared space.
it's a shared
Just try to see
lane
how
right
it goes
now.
and get drivers used to seeing the bike lanes,
Yeah.
used to seeing increased bike traffic, which Councilwoman Mealy has been talking about for a little while too. So we're excited about the project, but we're also excited to see hopefully increased pedestrian safety as well. And I'm part of the mayor's project on pedestrian safety. So it's through the Mayor's Innovation Project. So I'm part of the cohort, the national cohort right now on pedestrian safety. So very focused on this at the moment. And again, a lot of these projects are aligning with that, with pedestrian safety. If you're going to have increased usage of the parks, increased kids and families coming to and from the parks, clearly pedestrian safety has to be top of mind. So we're making sure we're paying attention to that as well.
It's going to tie into over at Woolsock, come through Divine there as an extension to their park system over there, and then we'll have our own loop.
Yeah, so
And then-
trying to make people coming in, working with Lowside as well, I forgot about that, with the township, to make sure it's all connected, because obviously it's not like people stop at the, at the city line. So if they're going from Bruce Henry Park to Shaw Park, we'll make sure they can travel safely throughout.
And this all ties into, tying into the Riverwalk, it's the whole idea. We want to talk about getting down Basin Street with the Riverwalk extension, which is another project we're going to be getting into. Part of an earmark we got, Old City redevelopment. We just received proposals for the Old City RFP, received 5 proposals. We're reviewing them.
Which the work for that will be, what's all included in that work for the RFP for Old City.
Yes.
That's gonna be what all's in there, Willow, or what all's in that?
So there's Willow Street, that's actually in design right now. We might see construction on that yet this year. It's pretty final, getting close to finalization. There's going to be upgrades in Old City, new streetlights, and then the Riverwalk extension. That's a big part of it.
Going right down Basin Street, and thanks to Congressman Muser and our federal delegation for the support and the congressionally directed spending, the earmark, getting us this money to be able to do this work. And really, it's all exciting, but getting that Riverwalk extension right down Basin Street, so people can safely get up and onto the Riverwalk through the intersection there at Basin. Make that a much safer intersection, and then a crossing up onto the Riverwalk. So very much looking forward to that as well.
Okay. Is there anything you want to add?
I would add, in addition to the parks that Mayor Slaughter mentioned, the upgrades are also happening at Young's Woods Park. So with the addition of our grants administrator, we've been able to be very creative with using grants and matching grants creatively. So we have 3 different grants that are going to allow us to do over $8,000 worth of upgrades to Young's Woods Park, and that's actually going to be a park.
800,000.
800,000, yes. A park that focuses on inclusivity. So we're working with a local foundation who has a similar mission, and they've been a great sponsor of that project. So we're looking forward to having an all-inclusive park in the city.
What does that mean in all this park?
So that park will be primarily focused on allowing individuals who have physical disabilities to participate in the park just like they could in any other park throughout the city. So there will be specific park equipment that enables those folks to participate and access a lot of ADA upgrades, walking path, the benches, the picnic tables, all those things will be ADA compatible.
Okay.
And working very closely with the Special Olympics of Lycoming County on this project. So again, another park upgrade to Young's Woods. So again, every park across the city is receiving some sort of upgrade, and we're grateful to DCNR, to the foundation she spoke about that's helping out with funds, and to the Special Olympics of Lycoming County for Young's Woods. This park is going to be another one that's just going to be, once it's completed, it's going to get used heavily. I think people are going to be really surprised at the improvements we're making, and happy.
Do you want to update us on the levy and what's happening with the?
Sure, so I'll start off quick, and then Bill can go to more of the technical details. But we just recently finished up the SQRA, which is the semi-quantitative risk assessment. We've been working on that for a few years now. What started off and on, it stopped and then restarted, and so we just were able to finish that. So I do want to thank the Army Corps of Engineers for their time and dedication to our levy. The Colonel was just recently up here, Colonel Pero, to come view our levy. He took over command about a year ago, and so he had not been up to our levy to see it in person. So he came up maybe a month or so ago, toured the levy, took a look at it, and let us know that it still remains a priority for the Army Corps of Engineers to get our levy recertified, reaccredited, which was very good news for us to hear that it's staying at the top of their list, and it's actually part of legislation. And again, thank you to our federal delegation for including it in the language that our levy is a priority. Of course, it protects, as we all know, a lot of businesses, residents, property in the billions of dollars of value. And so our levy has to be recertified, it has to be reaccredited, so that everyone's flood insurance does not go through the roof. So looking forward, the $8 million was released. So now we can start to move forward some of the RFPs, some of the projects, and we're also working hand in hand with the county and the state on the levy to make sure this keeps moving along and it's not a long drawn out process. But I'll let Bill talk about the more technical details of the pump stations and electrical and things of that nature.
So as part of the recent earmark, the mayor said that it was released that we're going to do electrical upgrades to 3 pump stations, Arch Street, Spring Run, and Miller's Run, I believe. That is out to bid as we sit here and speak right now. The bids will be due in a couple weeks, and you're going to see that work being done this year. So we're looking forward to that. And also part of the earmark, we're going to replace the roofs on 8 pump stations. I think the only one that's not being done is Spring Run. But that's also part of the earmark, and that work you're going to also see get done this year.
Yeah, and this stuff goes back to Congressman Keller. He was able to get us secure that earmark. So again, thanks to him, but also former Senator Casey and then current Senator McCormick and Fetterman and Congressman Musser for continuing to keep our levy as a priority. And it's arguably, I would say, the #1 regional priority for the city and for the county to get this recertified, reaccredited. It just has to be done. It's going to be too expensive for businesses and families if their flood insurance were to go up significantly. So we're committed, we're all in lockstep from local, county, state, federal, all of the partners involved to get this done.
Did you want to talk about Green Light Go more in detail?
Sure. I'll start it and then again, Joe
Yeah.
can go into technical, but we have, so we resurfaced Little League Boulevard, and also along those lines, we got some Green Light Go grants that's going to redo the signals and intersections at Little League and
Hepburn Street and Market Street.
Market.
They're under design currently.
So obviously resurfaced it, and then it's going to give us new intersections, safer, again, going back into pedestrian, vehicle, bicycle safety. And then also at 4th and Mulberry.
Just finished that one up.
So that's done now.
It's all new.
A brand new intersection there, and that is also leading into the two-way conversion on 4th Street between Basin and Mulberry, correct?
Correct.
So that will probably be later this year.
Yeah, that's we just awarded it to a contractor. So that work's going to be starting very soon. It's a streetscape project, street lights, curb, sidewalk, those things. And as the mayor mentioned, between Basin and Mulberry, we'll convert it into two-way traffic, which ties in with the new signal that was just put at Mulberry Street. That's all set up for that. And also, that project is a streetscape on Campbell Street between 3rd and 4th. That section, which I think completes the pathway
I
to
believe
health.
Pathway to Health.
That
I think
section.
that's the final piece
Yes,
of it that
yes.
goes back a number of years.
Yes.
Also, the two-way conversion has been being discussed for a number of years as well. The goal is to keep a two-way conversion coming right through downtown, 4th Street and 3rd Street. We all know if it's two-way, it slows traffic down. Again, a lot safer for pedestrians, for bicyclists, when the traffic is moving slower. And a lot of this has to do with the design. So as we're designing these new two-way roads and converting it to two-way, we have to be mindful that if a road feels as if you should drive fast on it, that's how people are going to drive. So as we're designing this, we want to really be mindful that we want traffic calming included. We want people to slow down, not just for the safety, but also to see what our downtown has to offer. If you're going slower, you see the businesses, you see the restaurants, and you're more likely to pull over and see what's going on. But of course, our number one concern and priority is the safety of the residents as they're making their way throughout our city. So as we're converting these, we're going to look at a lot of the options, but mainly the design, to make sure that it's designed in a way that's safe for everyone.
Light is always a hot topic with our readers.
Yeah.
I know we had the house in Newbury was transformed.
Yeah.
What other strides are you making on that front?
Sure. So we've been laser focused on blight remediation, blight elimination. The redevelopment authority, the administration and city council allocated $2 million to the redevelopment authority / land bank to start to address our blighted structures. And so what we've done, as you mentioned, Mosser Avenue was their first project. I believe that was just recently sold, which is exciting. Not only does it address blight and, again, positively impact the neighborhood, because we know if we take the worst of the worst property in the neighborhood and fix that, it transforms the whole neighborhood. But it also gets these properties back owner occupied, back on the tax rolls, quality of life, public safety, all the things we've been talking about. So working with the redevelopment authority, they started Mosser Avenue. They're also next to First Church on Market Street. There was a home there that was just recently demoed. Again, going to look at selling that parcel. Across from the YMCA on Park Avenue, that was a home that had a hole in the roof for many, many years, and they demoed that. And that's actually going to have a single family home put on, I believe, starting the end of this month or early July. And then that home will go up for sale. So again, taking blighted properties, flipping them and putting them back onto the market and back onto the tax rolls. And there's also some few other properties throughout the city that we're looking to address and continue to work on the blight remediation. We've also been discussing with the redevelopment authority about some larger projects, because with this initial seed money being part of the American Rescue Plan dollars, it has to be expended by December of 2026. We're confident that the Redevelopment Authority will be able to do that, but if they get a few larger projects, then we can definitely ensure that that money will be spent by then. And then really what will end up happening is just going to be a revolving loan fund in a sense. So they address the blight, whether that's rehabilitation or demo, get a single family home back on it, or sell the parcel to a developer, and then that money comes back into the Redevelopment Authority, and then this process just continues on, and we can continue to address the blight throughout the city. Because only the initial money has to be spent by December of 2026. Once the money comes back in from the sale of the property, then there's no strings attached to that money. It doesn't have to be spent by a certain amount of time, and then it just continues on, and they can continue to address the properties. So really getting everyone on the same page, from codes to our blighted property committee to the redevelopment authority, and making sure this is a priority, which we have now done. And so we're really excited to really look at the blight throughout the city and start to work across the board to get our neighborhoods revitalized, vibrant, rejuvenated. Because we all know, I mean, I get calls all the time of one house in a neighborhood that's been like that for 20 years. And when we did it at Monster Avenue and we rehabbed that, the neighbors were just ecstatic. It literally changes the feel. One property can change the feel of the whole neighborhood. And so we start to do that across the city, and we're really going to make some good progress that we're very much looking forward to, and I know our residents in the neighborhoods are as well.
Is it just residential, or is there a move toward certified
Commercial,
commercial?
industrial,
Like we see
yes,
in South Williamsport
exactly
right
right.
now on
So-
Main Street.
Yeah, so it's across the board. So our Blighted Property Commission has certified commercial and industrial as well, not just residential. These first couple we've started with have been residential, but we also are well aware that there's commercial and industrial properties that are vacant and blighted that need addressed as well. So we've been talking about those also, and that's one of the larger projects of property that we're not ready to say publicly, but that we've been looking at. That would be a larger expense that would be able to get some of this money expended a little more quickly because it's a larger project. So yes, that's a commercial / industrial property that we're exploring, and we know there are others. So not just residential, commercial, industrial as well, across the board. That, again, I know some businesses that are next to some of these vacant, commercial, industrial, they've been reaching out saying, hey, can we do something here as well? And the answer is yes. So we can't just snap our fingers overnight, but absolutely over the next several months to a couple years, I think we'll see tremendous changes,
Okay.
positive changes.
But is there any other projects that you haven't mentioned that you would like our readers? to be
Bowman
aware of?
Field, there's been a lot going on at Bowman Field. There's all new netting that was installed as part of the MLB. Changed their requirements, their standards, and any MLB related stadium had to, all pedestrian areas, all fan areas have to be covered by netting, so we did that. That's
Major
up.
League Baseball.
Major League
MLB.
Baseball.
Yeah.
MLB.
I think people, but just to be sure.
Yeah. This fall, we'll be replacing the outfield wall, the outfield fence, the entire new wall after the season's over in September. And we're currently working on some waterproofing along the right field, Loggers Landing deck area there, getting some waterproofing done to that.
Which dates back many, many years prior to us, when they did some of the initial upgrades. Apparently that was leaking back then. It was never addressed, so we're addressing that now. Because it's leaking actually pretty badly, and it has been. So we were able to do that. And then, yeah, the outfield fence, so. What
I would
else?
definitely like to talk about the work that Community and Economic Development is doing.
Sure.
So those projects. So the Department of Community and Economic Development, one of the roles of our department is to administer the funds that are given to the city by HUD. We're considered an entitlement community by HUD, so we receive an allocation every year to benefit the low to moderate income population of the city. So we receive home funding each year, and our priorities right now for our home funding are to support the work of Habitat for Humanity. So we're supporting their new builds on Scott Street, and we're looking forward to seeing the rest of those 6 in total homes come to fruition with the support of the city's home entitlement funds. Those funds are really meant to provide safe, affordable housing for people in our community. So the other thing we're focusing on there is a gap financing program for home buyers. So individuals who are looking to purchase a home, if they are approved for $100,000 and they fall into the low to moderate income bracket that we're required to follow, but that's just not quite enough to get them into that home, we can consider them for some gap financing that can help to make up the difference between what they're qualified for and what the home purchase price is. So we are looking forward to helping folks in that matter. We also have community development block grant funding, and right now we're using that funding to help folks with emergency rehabilitations of their home. So folks who have really dangerous emergent situations occur, whether or not it's a hole in the roof or an ADA compliant, an access issue, we can help folks get those projects done in their home. We are spending some of those funds on the bike lane project that Mayor Slaughter already mentioned. We're doing some street reconstruction in some of the low to moderate income neighborhoods in the city. And one of the other things that we're working on is just exploring a potential sidewalk rehabilitation program. So we like to creatively use these funds to benefit individuals in ways that there aren't other funding sources available for. So we're just in the beginning stages of exploring how we can do some sidewalk replacement across the city in some of the low to moderate income areas. We're definitely focused on some more safe routes to school. We want to make sure that the kiddos who are walking to school can get there safely, and that's part of our Safe Streets for All study. We'll be focused a lot on the Market Street corridor, making sure that those kiddos who are walking to school, like I said, can get there safely.
Okay.
I would also, our public safety, so two programs that we're working on there. One on police, our critical intervention, behavioral health, behavioral mental health, critical intervention team has rolled out and is implemented and is out on the street, and that is going very, very well. Having a social worker along with our officers when there's a behavioral health or a mental health call is just going tremendously well. So being able to get the resources, first off, de-escalate the situation with somebody that's in crisis, and then also being able to connect them with the resources they need to get out of the crisis mode and become back to a productive member of society. So that program is going very, very well. We've been talking about it for the last few years. Again, thank you to Governor Shapiro and Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency for the grant to allow us to get this kicked off and started. We're hoping to clearly keep this going for many years into the future. And then also in our fire department, we have filled, it was vacant, it was a union position, but it was vacant for a number of years, the fire inspector. And our fire inspector is out doing very good proactive work across the city, both residential, commercial, or I shouldn't say both, all three, residential, commercial, and industrial, getting our inspections, getting out there, letting people know, and on remodels or new builds, letting them know from a fire inspector's standpoint what's the safest, what needs to be updated or upgraded. And so he's doing a great job getting out into the community, and again, that's a safety aspect, of course, a life safety. So just giving him some kudos, and we're very happy to have that position filled after many years that it's been vacant. No fault of anyone, it was just a union position and no one was interested in it. And so anyway, he was interested and he's hit the ground running and doing a great job. So those two programs in our public safety department are going very well.
Okay. Do you want to talk a little bit, Mayor, about being president of the Municipal League and how that's helping?
Sure. So it's always about bringing resources back to our community. I am fortunate enough to serve as president of the Municipal League this year through October. First mayor in Williamsport history, I believe, to serve as president of Pennsylvania Municipal League, which is humbling and truly an honor. But having said that, you don't just want to sit in that position just to sit in it. You actually want to get some things accomplished. So working right now with the league across the board and across all cities, townships, and boroughs in the Commonwealth, and working very closely at the moment with Representative Flick and Representative Smith-Waddell on local service tax, LST, and some flexibility. Pennsylvania Economy League put out a study that it's not 1965 anymore, which was the last time any meaningful local tax reform had taken place in giving local government some just longitude and latitude. Right now, essentially, particularly third-class cities, we know we're facing budget constraints, pretty much all of us across the board, and the only real revenue generator that we have is property taxes. So we're talking to the legislature about other options and just giving us the option. So LST is one of those that Representative Flick and Representative Smith-Waddell have agreed to introduce legislation. The memo is being circulated right now to give local government the option to increase it to $156 from the current $52. I think has not been changed since 2001 or 2002. And so what that means for us locally clearly would give us a bump in our revenue for the budget. And we're not saying that, a good thing to introduce new taxes to folks, but this one, why we wanted to start with LST is it's specifically for public safety, roads, bridges, which most people across the board agree that they want those services. So when we come into budget and we have the difficult decisions and conversations, generally you don't want to cut police and fire and people want their roads paved. So an increase in LST, those funds have to go directly to public safety and to infrastructure that is critical for local government and for our residents and for our city. So if they give us the option on LST, that's not saying we would increase it to $156, and the reason we chose $156 is because if you're a distressed community and you enter Act 47, then the state gives you the option to take your LST to $156. What we're saying is give it to us up front so we don't have to go into distress status, and we're able to hopefully balance some of our budget, or at least put some stopgap measures in place. And that's not saying we would increase it to 156, but even if we bumped it a little bit, that's going to have significant positive impact on our budget. So again, appreciative to Rep. Flick, Rep. Smith-Waddell, bipartisan support right now, bipartisan co-sponsors, and hopefully to get more co-sponsors joining in on that. But the league across the board is working on many, many issues with the state legislature, from housing to local use of radar to infrastructure, and of course to taxing local tax reform. So it's exciting, it's humbling, and it's been a lot of fun serving as president of the municipal league this year. Very, very busy, but very rewarding.
Chick-fil-A is going to open soon. Wawa's already open. Are there any other economic development projects you can speak of that obviously don't violate any kind of confidentiality?
We're exploring some things. Of course, speaking regionally, Bass Pro is coming. That was introduced. So a lot of times I'll go to things outside of the city and people ask, why am I there? But we have to look at rising tide lifts all boats, right? So if something's happening, Bass Pro down by the mall in Muncie or Jersey Shore, wherever, that naturally has a benefit for Williamsport. So we are very excited to see what's happening down there. Here in the city, we're always exploring economic development. Prismian Group just cut the ribbon on their $22 million expansion, another 30 jobs or so there. They're looking to do potentially some other things down the road. But to have American energy, American jobs, American equipment made right here in Williamsport that's going to power the Grain Belt Expressway, I believe is what it's called. So to be part of that and have the city play a small part in investing in that expansion it was very meaningful, and of course, keeping the businesses and the jobs, good paying, livable wage jobs right here in Williamsport, working with Prismian. So we're thankful to Prismian and Invenergy for their investment in Williamsport and into our energy grid, which we all know is a hot topic at the moment. It needs to be reliable, safe, and secure. So knowing that safety, security, reliability is coming right out of Williamsport, at least a large portion of it now, is very good news for us. What else cross-border economic development?
I would just add, from an economic development standpoint of small businesses, the city staff is working really closely with the Williamsport Business Association and Explore Williamsport to learn more about potentially what they consider some of the barriers to being successful downtown businesses and ways that the city can partner with them to improve the downtown, whether or not it is, pedestrian safety or making a small tweak in an ordinance to, make something work better for them. We've been having wonderful conversations with them, and we're actually exploring a partnership with Bucknell University to have students there do a strategic plan for our downtown so that we can talk about making the downtown more appealing to continue to entice businesses to want to be in downtown Williamsport.
And I would say we're working with we will be working with Penn College this fall, and I don't want to get the cart in front of the horse, but we're working with a few professors and students over there about one of their classes this fall, sort of looking at rebranding for Williamsport, for our parks, for our businesses, for our community as a whole, and having that as a student project in the fall. So to include merchandise, logos, and all of that. So for their suggestions, of course, we'd have to run it through a legal process. But that's very exciting to work with them. And as Valerie said, just working with our businesses throughout the community, seeing what their needs are, how we can assist, how we can continue to grow. Autos is having an event at the end of the month. Autos has been doing great work, as many of our businesses downtown and throughout the community are doing. So just continue to see what does the community want, how can we be supportive, and how can we continue to grow here in Williamsport.
Is there anything I didn't ask you three about that you want people to know about?
Well, should talk a little bit about grants, all the grants we're going for.
A little bit about grants?
Right.
Yeah, sure.
So we received the grant, want me to start?
Sure.
We received the grant on West 3rd Street for a streetscape in front of Jack S. Brewery, that area. That's under design right now. I forgot to mention it was part of the active projects. Yeah, under design. I don't think you'll see construction on that this year yet, but definitely next year. And then we're going to keep going for more grants to continue that down West 3rd Street, down to Center Street.
Going west. Right now, Hepburn to Elmira, right? The first stage of that.
Yeah. And then eventually get down to Center, and then do Elmira between 3rd and 4th, pick up that whole area. There's another multimodal grant we do this July we're going to submit for. I think TASA grant, possibly. These are PennDOT grants we're going to go for. Green Light Go, we're constantly going for Green Light Go every year to replace traffic signals. We have a lot of older traffic signals throughout the city, going for that. Another Arley grant, crosswalks down in front of Penn College area. Try to get some new crosswalks down in that area. Another project I didn't mention was we're doing thermoplastic crosswalks. We have 5 throughout the city, plus the city recently passed an MOU with Lycoming College to do, hopefully do 5 additional crosswalks around Lycoming College.
Can you talk, what's thermoplastic mean? So
thermoplastic, it's not asphalt, it's similar to asphalt, it's not concrete. It's a more, it adjusts a little bit, it's a little bit more forgiving, a little bit, it wears better with traffic. It's more visible as well, which is the main thing. You want something visible, it's to highlight when the pedestrians are crossing.
Yeah, and initially with Lycoming College, with them doing the new baseball field, the football stadium, it's having increased student traffic going over Little League Boulevard there to Elizabeth Street. So that was initially what sparked the discussion, and then we just looked at making it safer, some other areas around the college, working with Lycoming College. But initially it was getting the students safely over Little League Boulevard because there wasn't a lot of marked signals or crosswalks there. And with all the kids going up to football games and up to the park for baseball, and we have the Little League fields there now as well, band shell being redone, there was just much increase in foot traffic and pedestrian traffic, bicycles and all of that. So we felt, again, going back to pedestrian safety, the design of Little League Boulevard and all of that, we needed to make sure people could cross over in a safe manner.
It's at Washington Boulevard there, Elizabeth Street, that's the main crossing.
Or Washington Boulevard.
Going up to
Boulevard, yeah.
going up to the new
Yeah.
ball fields up in there. It's
Washington
a lot
Boulevard,
lot of pedestrian traffic there, so
Right.
we want to get that highlighted with some beacons, you know, to actively show that there's active pedestrian crossing there.
And we always get a lot of calls about Confusion Corner. That is all PennDOT roads, and so we are having conversations with PennDOT. I know there was a design floating around social media that sort of redesigned or reimagined Confusion Corner, and we did send that over to PennDOT. So we can't say that I obviously can't speak for PennDOT, but just talking to them about making Confusion Corner maybe a little, again, safer, more pedestrian friendly. But yeah, Washington Boulevard was definitely a concern as we started to see the college kids going across there, and just from, Market all the way down, just like, the goal is just to slow the traffic down a little bit.
I think it's worth noting, the city is taking a much more strategic approach to planning and grant management with the addition of the grants administrator. The Mayor Slaughter and City Council created this position that's allowed us to be way more deliberate about our grants and the management of those grants. We've recently hired a city planner, so we're doing a lot of extensive planning so that when grant opportunities are available, we have projects that are ready. We want shovel-in-the-ground projects, when these grant opportunities become available. So between the engineer, the planner, the grants, we're all working strategically to really carry out Mayor Slaughter's vision for Williamsport and do it in a way that's strategic and deliberate.
So you advocated for the grant writer position. What kind of difference has it made in the projects that you have coming up?
I mean, I don't think we could overstate the value that position has brought to all of the departments across the city. As Valerie just said, it's allowed us to take a strategic approach, where I would say before we were just sort of, treading water, keeping our head above water, trying to do the compliance of the grants, because we were still getting a lot of grants, but we didn't have them housed in any one department. So we were sort of just piecemealing it and breaking it out to different individuals who, okay, you do this part of this one, I'll do this part of this one. So just saving us so much time. Valerie initially, and now Melanie coming in. It has absolutely been a game changer to have that position in place. Not only to be able to track the grants, but again, as Valerie said, to take a strategic approach, like, okay, we're looking at housing, or we're looking at public safety, or public works, infrastructure, what grants are out there, what's the vision that we all collectively have as an administration and alongside City Council. What do we want to go after? What does it make sense to go after? What projects have we completed? What do we have in the works? What are we looking at moving forward? So this position is absolutely invaluable. I think, what, $50-60 million? What are we managing right now? Yeah, like $50 million in grants. And so that's clearly not a small number. And what the state and feds want to see is that not only are you spending the money, but you're recording and being compliant in the way you're spending that money, which again, this position is allowing us to do. Absolutely cannot overstate the tremendous importance of this position and the great work that Valerie started and Melanie is continuing. It's just, it's so important and critical to the day-to-day operations of the city.
Thank you, three of you, for sitting down with us.
Absolutely.